The classroom is a place where students grow in various aspects, academically, socially, and emotionally. As educators, it is important to make sure students learn how to become compassionate, accepting, and capable adults. Not only is it their responsibility as a teacher or parent to teach these values, but to exhibit them in their actions and behaviors. Our deliberation project focuses on gender identities and whether or not schools should accommodate students who identify with a different gender. All students should have the right to feel comfortable and welcome in the classroom to promote a positive and safe learning environment. It is important to be aware of these issues as we may not realize how we alienate people who do not identify as one gender. We identified physical accommodations, resources and support, and inclusive classroom environments as main focuses in targeting the issue of gender identity in an educational setting. Keeping this in mind, the question we proposed were these. Is it the school's responsibility to accommodate different gender identities? If yes, how? What is the solution you would propose against any current adversities schools have to face?
Yes, I absolutely think it is a school's responsibility to accept and embrace each child where they are in their development and in their life, and because the school's the place where they can all on an equal footing and with equal treatment and respect develop into who they're meant to be.
My answer to that question is I think we should be accommodating, but it shouldn't come in the way of how we deal with students. Like, it should be like natural, you know? It shouldn't like hinder a student's ability to, like, other students' abilities to learn. It shouldn't be like detrimental or anything.
Start? Okay. So I think it is the school's responsibility to accommodate students with different gender identities, just because if the school claims that they support these like ideologies around equality, but they don't fully support them, like when the students actually come to the school, then it's kind of like false advertisement when they try to get more like of a diverse population to attend the school, and they just aren't accommodating for them.
I think it is the school's responsibility to accommodate people with different gender identities, especially in housing, because if you identify as a male, but you're like technically a female, are you supposed to room with a girl or can you room with a guy?
I do think it is the school's responsibility to accommodate all gender identities, because the way a school runs is independent of the way that people identify themselves, and each person has their own opinions, and that is can be completely disregarded in terms of school. So I think that it is the school's right to accommodate all people.
David, who did not wish to be filmed, stated, I don't think that it is the school's responsibility to accommodate students with different gender identity. It takes a lot of resources and effort on the part of the school for very few students who are dealing with this. I think that the classroom needs to focus on education and learning, not on social and personal issues.
Say it.
Just go.
I think that it's not very prevalent in our school right now. So at this time, teachers aren't really cautious of it. And I think maybe if there were more students that were transgender, they could probably pay attention to that more and make it more of an issue, definitely.
I think that the primary goal of a school is to educate the person. I think in the Jesuit tradition, it's really important to educate the whole person, and one of the most important things about that is taking into mind safety and making sure this is a safe environment to learn. I'm not too familiar with issues regarding gender identity, but I know one of the big issues is having a safe place to use the bathroom, not knowing if you should go to the men's room or the women's room, so gender-neutral bathrooms or single stall spaces that are safe to use are really important, and I think expanding those on campus would be a great way to provide a safer environment for everyone.
Because I don't know if you talk about microaggressions in your class, but like especially I notice that we say guys a lot when we're talking in groups, and I think that even using like gender binary phrases is something that just kind of puts that into an embedded brain, and makes people think about only guys and girls. So trying to consciously either use examples of people who are somewhere in between or somewhere less clear, and avoiding kind of gender binary terms, especially when talking to groups, I think promotes that idea that we're all decimals in a world of integers.
I think it should be a process, and it should be an accommodation that's made with the consultation of their either parents or guardians, the people that are already in their lives. They should have that conversation with the school as to how they could, by joining forces, best accommodate the child's identity. Secondly, the presumption should be that the child themselves, even if they're younger, 5, 6, 7, 8, really know who they are. And so the presumption should be that the child is right about their gender identity, not that they're wrong about it.
Is like probably have more gender neutral bathrooms, because I feel like not a lot of people really know where those are, of the few that do exist. And so it seems a little like, why would they have to go out of their way to go to a bathroom that makes them feel comfortable, as opposed to people that like already know where their bathrooms are available for them.
A possible solution I would pose is maybe like more openness and like going through the, school clubs and activities to open up and foster a community.
After we conducted our interviews, we got together to do another round of deliberation and gather information on what we had found out from the people that we interviewed. Based upon our 3 themes, we discovered 3 solutions that had been mentioned in a number of our interviews. The first related to physical accommodations. The people that we interviewed mentioned that they believed it was important to accommodate students of all gender identities by making sure that there are physical spaces available for them so that they aren't inconvenienced, stigmatized, or isolated because they don't have the same access as other students. Concrete things that could be done in order to accommodate these students would be gender-neutral bathrooms, allowing students to use locker rooms that they identify with the gender of, allowing students to play on the sports teams of the gender that they identify of, and in the situation of a private or boarding school, providing housing that accommodates both the student and their potential roommate. Drawbacks to this would be backlash from parents who are concerned for the safety and well-being of their own cisgendered students. Parents could also be concerned about the fairness of transgendered students playing on sports teams that they believe are not the accurate gender. The second solution that our interviewees identified was the importance of resources and support systems. We believe that it's important to ensure that students of all genders and their parents feel supported and educated through every step of the integration process. This would include transparency of administration and the actions that they're taking, as well as programs to support and counsel all parties through the challenges associated with them. This would mean providing counseling and psychological support for students, parents, and teachers, as well as, and more importantly, educational programs for all of these parties so that the issue of gender identity is well understood and insensitivity because of ignorance can be prevented. We also believe that it could be valuable to have in-class lessons where students gain each other's perspective on different issues and are able to see each other as classmates and friends and not necessarily by their gender. A problem with this could be that certain parents and teachers would feel that gender identity is an issue for the home and for private and not to be discussed in the classroom. Our last solution revolved around the importance of maintaining an inclusive classroom environment. We feel that it's important to create a safe classroom so that each and every student has an education that's uncompromised and unthreatened by feelings of a lack of safety, not being welcome, or being uncomfortable. Ways that we could do this would be to make sure that teachers are trained on the proper terminology and ways to handle classroom management and bullying surrounding issues of gender identity. We also thought that making use of classroom rules that are inclusive would be key to helping students become accustomed to each other and the ways that they could support each other. Lastly, we feel that implementing and encouraging the importance of language within the classroom would be the key way to helping students feel safe. Calling students by their preferred gender and pronouns and respecting their identities through language and through discipline of microaggressions and bullying would create a new culture in the classroom. A problem here could be if students prefer to be called by pronouns or by a name that their parents don't feel that they should be called by. There might be problems with administration in dealing with parents and students who feel differently about their own identity and teachers who have to navigate that difference. All in all, we felt that the values that were expressed through the people that we interviewed were overwhelmingly in support of accommodating students' gender identities in the classroom and in the education system. These values revolved around 3 themes: physical accommodation, resources and support, and inclusivity and welcoming in the classroom.